Hey y'all, Toad here. Well, there's been a few interesting developments in the gun political world. Find kind of interesting. See how many of them y'all heard about. Well, in the gun world, we certainly heard about Magpul. Magpul is a manufacturer of firearm accessories, and they're based in, I believe, in Erie, Colorado. And they've basically said that if Colorado passes laws limiting magazine amounts and other things that are being talked about in the Colorado legislature, that Magpul is just going to leave Colorado. You know, I'm a big believer in voting with your wallet. I'm behind Magpul 100% here. I think that any company who's simply being attacked because they make something like that some people disagree with, fine, leave. You know, I have no problem with Magpul if they pick up stakes and move to a more constitutional friendly state. By all means, come on. There's plenty of them down here in the South and out West. It's kind of a shame for the people who work for Magpul, but the employees of that company are simply not in the political equation in Colorado. That is just not something that's being considered at all. This is just a nothing more than a feel-good, bunch of legislation just so somebody can point to it and say, "Hey, look, this is how we're keeping kids safe." Yeah, it's a bunch of crap. In fact, one of the legislators, I believe it was a Democrat in Colorado, was quoted as saying the time is right for these laws now. Now, when you just look at that statement on the face of it, doesn't sound like anything, but why is the time right now? The obvious answer to that is because passions are high, based on what happened in Connecticut. That's all it is. It has nothing to do with logic, reason, constitutionality, or law. That's all it is. Just a reaction. Somebody using a tragedy to further an ideological agenda. Nothing more, nothing less. Olympic Arms. I believe they are out of Washington. Has basically said no more sales to New York. Drop dead, guys. Not going to deal with it. And that includes first responders. And that's the term they used was first responders. So I'm making the assumption that as Olympic Arms is a firearms manufacturer, they are talking, when they talk about first responders, they're talking about law enforcement. So, kudos to Olympic Arms. That's a good deal. In fact, I would go as far as to say, if this goes through the way it sounds, that I would ask anybody watching this to take a second look at Olympic Arms next time you make a purchase. Because anytime a company refuses to sell products, and I know, okay, if they make the firearms illegal, what does it matter if Olympic Arms stops selling them? Olympic Arms sells more than just ARs. And cutting off sales to somebody who's attacking your product, that shows pretty good integrity. So, kudos to Olympic Arms. Good for you. And then I'll just get out of here with the trustees of the New York Teachers Retirement Fund. That's a $46.6 billion fund with a B. They voted to divest $13.5 million in investments with 5 gun manufacturers. Now, the story I read doesn't say whether they were getting a good return on their investment. Now, anybody who's into firearms knows that the firearms manufacturers are actually doing kind of good. They're selling a lot of guns. So it would appear, on the face of it anyway, through common sense and logic, that these trustees divested their teachers' retirement fund of investments that were doing well, again on an for ideological reasons, not for business reasons. If I was somebody in New York, that would bother me. Because if you have people who are trustees, their job is to make sure that retirement fund stays funded. They have a fiduciary responsibility to the fund, not to like or dislike what the investments are. Now, me personally, I'd like to see what some of the other investments are. We're never going to see that. And just as an interesting side note, the only person to vote against it was Mayor Bloomberg's public policy advisor. Find that kind of interesting. But, there you go. So, go Magpul. Go someplace that's more friendly to you. Olympic Arms, good for you. Good for you. And I hope you stop selling your products to anybody who's ideologically driven to destroy your industry. And as far as the trustees, or just say the people of New York, y'all need to go and check out what your trustees are doing with that teacher's retirement fund. Because if they're investing based on ideological reasons instead of financial reasons, perhaps you might want to consider finding some new trustees.